I'm going to give you 9 techniques that you can use to add cinematic lighting to your screenplays and wow the Hollywood reader. Get it right and the director won't be thinking of you as a wordsmith or writer of bland instruction manual scripts, but someone with cinematic vision, which is the primary currency in the film world.
So, tonally, thematically, this whole picture, it's about light and darkness.
After the camera, lighting is arguably the most important visual element in film and television. Directors and cinematographers, they chase it, they shape it, they bend it to their will, but when you are writing a scene, how often do you think, what's the light doing? How are my characters lit in this scene? 9 cinematic lighting techniques. Let's get stuck in. So the first technique, add a lighting description at the top of your scene to show the mood of the scene and the mood of your character. How you light your character is a huge signifier to the reader of their state of mind.
I think it's going to rain.
Dramatic, moody, contrasting shadows are often used to show the state of mind of characters in a horror movie or a thriller. Take Captain America in that elevator fight scene in Winter Soldier. We have this soft, celestial white light beaming in and hitting one side of his face. But look at the other side. His face is cloaked in shadows, signifying his dark thoughts and violent intent. When filmmakers use high contrast lighting ratios, which is when there's a big difference between the light and the dark, that is called low-key lighting. But when filmmakers want to project a happier mood, they use high-key lighting. Generally, everything is more evenly lit, brighter and happier. Think sitcoms and comedies. Look at daytime television, the news, and any commercial, it's that clean Colgate look. It's all happy and high key. Let's say you're writing a wedding and the mood is happy. How would you write that on the page using cinematic lighting? The standard description? The bride stands on the altar steps, beaming with joy. But let's add a soupçon of cinematic lighting to amp it up for the reader's projector. Sunlight beams through the stained glass windows, enveloping the bride in a halo of light. Or a sunbeam drops onto the bride and her endless silk and ivory dress. The lighting on the page or on the screen sends a message about the characters, their mood, and the fact this is a happy wedding. But what if this wedding is not so happy? Take this scene in The Crown. Diana's learnt that Charles has still got his girlfriend on the go, and she confronts him at the rehearsal. Look at the way they've lit this. Low-key shadows, boosting the conflict and the sense of dread. And whilst the dialogue provides a lot of the conflict, it's that visual bomb at the end that cements the moment in our head that Charles is standing there, alone, and imperious in fact.
Shall we begin the rehearsal?
How would we write that? Charles stands sentinel on the altar, silhouetted by the murky grey light. So what we're doing there is we are shaping the light with the verb silhouetted. That gives us the shape of the light. We've also described the quality of the light. It's murky. And we've given it a colour, which is as grey as his Savile Row suit and perhaps his emotions. So just that little soupçon of cinematic lighting on the page, 5 words, creates an image bomb in the head of the reader. What we're seeing here is the lighting is an omen of what's going to happen in the story and in this relationship. So tip 1, if you want to add some art direction to your scene, decide what type of mood you're shooting for. Is it happy, high key? And you're describing how this light's coming in and igniting the souls of our characters. Or if you're looking for something a bit more atmospheric and moody, is it more the shadows and the light contrasting together and is a bit more low-key?
As husband and wife live out their vows, loving and cherishing one another, sharing life's splendors and miseries.
Tip number 2 is when you are thinking about adding cinematic lighting to your scene, put the key light at the top of the scene. So this is my key light. It's my main light. It's the biggest and brightest source in this whole scene. So the key light can be an overhead bulb in a police station in one of those interrogation scenes. And if you put that light right above the head of the subjects, you get this really nice hollow skull shadows in the eyes of the interrogators or the accused. Your key light can be street lights seeping through the windows of a motel. And of course, there's natural light. The sun, the stars, and as we will see in the Shawshank Redemption, the moon. The Shawshank Redemption is such a great script to study and learn about the 5 visual elements and sound, and it's particularly revealing about the use of cinematic lighting on the page. So let's look at how Frank Darabont set up the key light in this establishing shot of the prison. So where do you see the key light on the page? The biggest and brightest source. Exterior Shawshank Prison. A malignant stone growth on the main landscape. The moon hangs low and baleful in a dead sky. The headlight of a passing train cuts through the night. How long did it take Frank Darabont to write those 3 lines? How long do you take when you're writing these types of establishing shots in your script, which can be a little bit of a chore, but not if you devote yourself to making every word count and giving the reader a truly cinematic experience. So the first thing to note, per the camera module, is this is clearly a wide shot that Darabont's writing, because you've got a stone growth on the main landscape, which is huge. And we can also see the entire prison, which is also large, so we have to be seeing a wide shot. But then the writer also identifies the key light here. The moon hangs low. The moon is the biggest and brightest light in the frame. And he displays another lighting technique, which is really important in filmmaking, which is the use of darkness. We've got a dead sky, so sometimes you can describe the light by pointing out what the darkness looks like, and that creates the shot in the head of the reader. And from that darkness, we have the startling contrast of the headlight of a passing train cutting through the night, which is wonderful. Great active verbs as well, which we're going to get into. The moon, the subject, hangs low. There's that active verb. The headlight of a passing train cuts through. Cuts through is a great active verb. Not there is a headlight or we see a large headlight or any of that nonsense. Noun, verb, object. And we are coming back to this technique. Technique number 3 is paint your characters with light. The full lighting class is over 40 minutes long. To access it and 11 hours of weapons-grade screenwriting tutorials, check out the Scriptfella program. But in the meantime, there is one more thing I'd like to give you for free. I'd like to invite you to a special 1-hour free masterclass where I'm going to teach you to identify the 7 biggest mistakes you're making on the page that are destroying the read for agents and destroying your career. Now, spoiler alert, I'm not talking about your character arcs, your logline, your plot, or your story circles. This is about the way that you're using or misusing language on the page. So if you'd like to learn what I learned over my 20 years as a screenwriter, click on the link and come to my masterclass. Are you in? Scriptfella, out.
Listen. Bye.